All right. I'm kind of curious.
We ready?
I think so. I just want to see if if something does come up on YouTube. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Wow, we're live on YouTube
And Facebook.
and Facebook. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. So, I guess this is the beginning of something special. I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the chicken machines and the board games. We're going to give you a little bit of our story, why we're doing this, and I think we're hoping to bring a lot of value to you. Mm-hmm. Do you want to start?
You want me to? Okay, let's start with an actual proper intro.
I keep looking down.
Yeah. Sorry. Hello, my name is David Weinstein, and welcome to the first episode of Ecommerce Radio. And today we are talking with my co-host. Co-host, please state your name.
John Schuster.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't introduce you right away because I get I've done a lot of podcasting on my own, so I'm very used to just introducing myself and nobody else.
Hey, so. I know you're solo. Yeah. Well, we're not solo anymore, so
yeah. No.
Yeah. So, do you want to tell it? So, we're going to tell our story.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna go ahead.
Let them know that we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're gonna run through our story, explain why we started Ecommerce Radio, and what we kind of hope to accomplish with Ecommerce Radio, and just kind of talk about our background as we've kind of.
So, if you haven't stopped watching yet, congratulations, you made it this far.
Right. Yeah. 1 minute in.
Yeah. So let's not beat around the bush. Let's give them a little bit of the story of how we got into this. Maybe I should start with my story a little bit.
Yeah, we can start with yours.
Because I kind of started with mine. But
yeah.
So probably about the time let me think, back to 2009 when my first daughter was going to be born. I actually needed a side hustle. I needed to do something. At the time I was working as a printer. I had kind of a dead end job, barely making at the time $19 an hour, full time, baby on the way very soon. And one of the guys at work mentioned that I should sell something on eBay. He said, have you ever sold anything on eBay? I said, no, I hadn't sold anything on eBay. And so he said, well, I just got divorced and my ex-wife gave me all these lunch boxes, old collectible lunch boxes. And so he gave me the box and I said, well, I'll pay you for them. He's like, no, I just take them and sell them. So I painstakingly listed 5-6 of these lunch boxes at the time on eBay for the first time. This was in spring of 2009, right before my daughter was born. And I think the first thing I sold was a 101 Dalmatians collectible lunchbox for the price of $5. I swear, I think after I shipped that thing and spent all that time on it, I lost money. I didn't make any money on that first one. So then I just kind of listed them. I got a little bit better, listed more of those. And then eventually I started buying some stuff at thrift stores that next month. And then my wife was going crazy because she's like, why are there's roller skates and bowling balls and all these things that were piling up?
You haven't picked a niche yet. You were trying to get
just,
whatever.
Just everything. And then something happened where I was browsing on there and I noticed people were selling Settlers of Catan games that were selling for quite a bit more than the lunch boxes. I want to say in the $40 to $60 range. And because at the time there was this third edition of Settlers of Catan. So then, and I love that game. We played it all the time back then with our friends. And so I knew all about that game. And so then I just started buying up Settlers of Catan, bought some from some people. I sold some of my own stuff and basically just kind of started selling all these different board game things. Now my daughter's born by now. This is going into the summer. She was born. And I started listing that stuff on eBay like crazy, started selling stuff on Amazon. Fast forward, I worked on that business for a couple years. It brought in a pretty good side income, about probably $30,000 a year. But wait, there's something about that story I forgot. I almost forgot.
Yeah, what did you forget, John?
I forgot you.
Oh, yeah,
so
I forgot.
While I was building that business and working on that business, I needed help to pack stuff and get it ready to ship. And at the time, David here
Yeah, I didn't have a job.
He was a teenager.
Yeah, I was 14 years old, didn't have a job, and I wanted to make a little bit of money on a side hustle. And I thought, why not go into a very cold and very damp.
Yeah, right. So it was in my garage, right, at the time. And he would package up that stuff. And I still remember I had like Groove Shark in my garage, and I was like playing like Never Ending Story. He like loved that music.
It was such great boomer music, great boomer tunes.
Yeah. So boomer, what are you talking about, boomer? So we were packaging that stuff up together for a while, and that business kind of grew, like I said, over the next couple of years. So not a full-time income, but pretty substantial, especially as a side hustle, side business. And in fast forward now from 2009 to 2013, I was still building that business. At this time, the business was making a good several $1,000s a month on the board game business. And I would always walk down to this coffee shop here in Edmonds every single morning to work on the business before I went to my day job. And I'd go down there. And then one day I was talking with a coffee shop owner, and I noticed that I told him I noticed that Starbucks across the street was showing up when somebody searched coffee shop, and his coffee shop wasn't showing up search. And so I told him, and he's like, can you help me do that? And I said, yeah, I can help you. By this time, I had, with the Amazon business, the eBay, Amazon, the board game business, I had built a website for it. I had done some SEO. I had done some Facebook ads for that business. So I had some experience with internet marketing. And basically, he said, yeah, I want help. So I went home that day after work. I wrote my first proposal. The next morning before work, I met with him. I gave him this menu of different things to do. I want to say it was like $1,000 for like 5 things, and $200 for each thing. And then he said, I want them all. Can I pay you in some coffee cards as well as some cash? So yeah, got the job. Bam. That was my first client, doing some kind of website SEO, social media stuff for them. And then a couple weeks later, my work wanted me to pick up Thai food at the Thai restaurant. And so I picked up Thai food, and the Thai lady asked me, she's like, you do websites? I was like, I don't remember how it came up. I was talking with her, and I was like, yes, I do. I can help you with a website. So I met with her, wrote a proposal, got a website job. My second client, fast forward another few months, there's this company that's in the, there's this guy that's sitting in the restaurant. And he's listening to me tell the Thai lady why she needs to collect her customers' email addresses. I'm trying to get her to collect them. I say, just put this on the check. People sign up to get a free appetizer. And she's like, I don't have time. I say, it doesn't take much time. You just got to do this. And this guy speaks up. And he's like, hey, do you do digital marketing? And I was like, at this time, I was like, yeah, I do digital marketing. I can definitely help with this. And so that business turned out to be one of our bigger clients. And actually, to this day, from 2013, is still a client of ours right now that we work on all the time, and pays us a lot more than they did back in 2013. So yeah, so that kind of is my story. And then basically been doing this now. My specialty is Facebook ads, SEO. I do some website development, although David does a lot more of the website development these days. But I do a lot of SEO. I do a lot of Facebook ads. I understand Instagram ads. I understand the ad platforms, Google ads. And I understand kind of the bigger strategy picture and just all the things that we put together, because we really believe in a multi-channel approach to everything we're doing. And David definitely helps with that. So David, kind of tell David's story. I don't want to tell your story.
Yeah,
but
don't
maybe,
tell my story.
Yeah, you can tell your story. So that's enough. But David does come into the story somewhere, I want to say a few years ago now.
It's been, I think it's been roughly
after the board game,
or 5 years. But I mean, if I was to tell my full story, the way I would tell it is that I would say back in 2014, I graduate high school, and I have no idea what I want to do with my life. I feel like people joke around the public school system fails them, and it certainly failed me to a certain extent. So they told me I needed to figure out what I needed to do by my junior year, but they didn't really give me a lot of direction on where I needed to go. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up going to school and I did something I thought would make my family more proud of me. Like I ended up going into human anatomy and like trying to become an X-ray or ultrasound technician. Now, when I did this, I forgot a crucial fact that I absolutely hate science. Like I hate doing science. I hate going through the scientific process. And even though we got to do really cool things in human anatomy, like, I think I dissected a cow's eye and I like dissected a cat. It was super weird, but like super interesting. I ended up failing that class and I probably should have dropped it now that I think about it.
Now, was this after this was after you had been packing games in my garage?
Yeah, so afterwards, yeah. So, and then I haven't really thought about you for a long time.
Yeah, well, we kind of stopped. You weren't working with me on the board game thing because I kind of slowed down on the board game business when I started doing more consulting.
Yeah, and I had no idea what you were doing at that time either.
Yeah.
And so just kind of through random circumstance, I fail out of human anatomy. And I end up going into a different field. I end up starting to study graphic design and specifically UX design for websites. And this is, again, like at a community 2-year college. I'm still feeling kind of directionless, but now I'm like doing something that's more creative, that plays to more of my strengths. And so I do that for like the next couple years. And I keep on bouncing from job to job. Like I worked at a old folks retirement community. That was maybe my favorite job, just because it was really nice to help out that community of people.
I remember that.
It was nice. It was nice to kind of have a customer base and really get to know like the different people that were there. But I ended up leaving that job, and then I was a barista for a little bit at Barnes and Noble at their Starbucks location. And one thing that's funny about that is that they say they have like the Starbucks logo, they have Starbucks products, like all the coffee Starbucks, but because their pastries are different, they're technically speaking not a Starbucks. They're called the Barnes and Noble Cafe. Yeah. And so people would come up to us with these like little gold cards, their Starbucks gold memberships. It'd be like, if you take this, I have some points on here. And every single time I had to say, I'm sorry, no, we're actually a Starbucks Cafe. And so I'd get a lot of angry complaints about that. But overall, that job was...
I always like to sit in there because you get all the free books and magazines that you can read while you're...
Yeah, but I liked the job, but it wasn't like for me. And then it finally ended, as John kind of alluded to earlier, with me working at Chick-fil-A. And the reason why I took that job is I had a lot of friends who were in that job, in that field. And so for me, even though it was definitely more stressful, I think what it taught me, like they have like very good team values and very good systems in place. But again, like for me, I don't necessarily. I let you boss me around, but I don't like necessarily like having a boss and like having.
Well, you weren't even in the front of the house. You ended up going.
Yeah, I ended up going in the back.
Cooking.
I know all this personality, and they threw me in the back of the
chicken
house.
Machine. He's running the chicken machine
and threw me into breading.
Yeah. So how did it happen? So at the time, I was working down the street at a Whole Foods. So I would sit. When I say that, I mean I would sit at a Whole Foods on my laptop and work on the business and help clients at Whole. I'd be sitting there, do meetings, whatever. And I remember one day something happened. We ended up meeting up at Whole Foods, and you had said that you were doing the website development. I was like, well, that's great. Why don't you come down here? I mean, it's right next door, literally like 2 blocks away. I was like, come after work or whatever, before work, and let's start working together. Let's have you start doing some stuff with websites, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct. And then you pretty quickly, you put a lot of trust in me, and I do really appreciate that, because I remember very quickly we ended up working on this
biggest
one
mistake
project.
I've ever made. Just kidding.
And it took like I think one of my first jobs with you was actually redesigning your website, and like you're like, oh, here you go, and then you like left for vacation for a week, and I had like no idea what I was doing, but I was faking it until I made it, and
that's okay. Yeah, I mean, you gotta you in our industry it changes so fast. Mm-hmm. Things that you learn how to do this year, you might not be able to do next year, or it changes so much. So you always have to be willing to learn and fail as well, because you're going to fail. But you got to, definitely gets a little bit tougher with clients. You have bigger clients. You can't take as many chances. You have to be much more thorough with as far as making sure you test stuff and things like that. But you still got to be willing to fail. You still got to try stuff. And with my site, I'm not too worried about you breaking.
Right.
I don't have a whole lot of traffic on my personal site at the time, at least.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, and that's pretty much it. I mean, since then we've worked on what, like 40 sites together, like,
at
or
least,
yeah,
at least 40. We got 40 on our
on
server.
our server. Yeah, I don't know, like not all of them I worked on per se, but like we've designed like at least over 20 like sites together.
Oh, we've done more than that.
Done more than that.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when did you start? When did we start working together? What year was that?
That was 2017, I believe.
2017, and it is now year
2022.
2022.
Yeah.
So it's like almost 5 years.
Yeah, I recently bought it. The reason why I remember that though is because I recently bought a car, and they told me that my rates would be so much lower if I'd done freelancing for 5 years, and I'm just slightly off because my 5-year anniversary is in July.
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. So that kind of, man, that's been a long time. So we built a lot of sites together. We've done a lot of marketing. David, he kind of runs the website development and maintenance for our company now. And and I kind of run the marketing side more and the client side. But we have a lot of fun. So that kind of covers a little bit of our story. Do we leave anything out?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it.
So maybe we should talk about like why you should subscribe. Like hit subscribe right now because you won't regret it. Our plan, so one of the reasons that we're doing this, it's a little bit selfish because one of the reasons we're doing this is because we know we use so many different software products, WordPress plugins, Shopify apps. I mean, we use a ton of stuff from CRMs, HubSpot, all these. And we kind of know like what works, what's the best one to use. Email marketing, Klaviyo, MailChimp, Drip, which one should you use? So the selfish aspect is we started thinking, we've been trying to get into doing more content and sort of building. We have several projects in the affiliate space and we're looking to grow that side. And we thought, this is something we have so many partnerships with because of the agency and so much experience with that we think we can provide a ton of value and maybe even make a little money on the affiliate side with it. But really beside that, I think it's so easy for us to talk about this stuff because we literally sit here. We're, by the way, at a co-working space here. And we sit here all day, every day, David and I. We have some team members who are remote or some who come in occasionally. But we're always here together and we talk about e-commerce and we talk about websites and we talk about email marketing. We talk about this stuff all the time. So I think it's easy for us to kind of give you some firsthand knowledge, literally, knowledge that clients pay us thousands and thousands of dollars for that we implement, but we can share that experience and that same sort of knowledge with you. And I think that's kind of the big thing we want to do with this is really kind of share a lot of that stuff that we do for clients, because working for clients is great, but working for clients isn't easy either. Whereas talking about this stuff, we know so much about this. This is a lot easier. Like this is really easy for me. I have no problem talking like.
Yeah, no, he has no problem with talking.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to this, and I hope we can bring you a ton of value.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that thought too, I mean, there's so many people. I've started doing a lot more trying to get on interviews for different podcasts, and there's so many people out there that could be watching this or just like in general that are so scared of going on a website, right? There's this whole thing. We've worked with so many clients where they'll ask you a very simple question and you'll be like, yeah, it's no big deal. Like you can change the text on here or whatever. Yeah. But they're like, there's like this fear of like breaking the site, not really knowing what you're doing. And so we kind of want to take that fear away and use this platform to kind of give a little bit more information and help you learn how to use and build your websites as well.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. But even if you're, say, a marketing manager or you have your own e-commerce company or you want to do a side hustle, like I think we can get super technical, but we can also make it really easy to understand. And maybe you don't want to know how to build everything. And that's why a lot of it too, we're going to just be discussing what's the best thing to use. And we might have some more detailed tutorials and things like that, but we're really here to sort of help you make the decision on what you want to do. Like, is it WooCommerce or is it Shopify? is a WordPress site great? Right. Yeah. So, and I like to say too, the other thing, like with e-commerce, like for me, I've always said like e-commerce marketing. I was the e-commerce marketer. For me, e-commerce encompasses much more than just a shopping cart. I think what we do with the internet and helping people sell something through the internet, whether it's getting a lead for say a chiropractor or a doctor or a home builder or you name it, any kind of business, the co-working spaces, that to me encompasses e-commerce, because it's literally we are using the internet to drive business or drive revenue. And, yes, traditional e-commerce is you have a shopping cart and you check out. But for us, it's so much more than that. I think there's a much bigger definition to it. So that's all I think I have to say for today.
Yeah, I think so too. I think
if you're still listening,
yeah, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Look, I know I'm doing great. I know that John's doing pretty okay.
Oh yeah, whatever. Better be careful.
I know. I got to stop razzing you because you're the one who actually pays my bills.
I am a black belt.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you're doing Taekwondo for quite a while there.
Oh yeah, like 3 or 4 years, but then COVID kind of nipped that in the bud. So I got to get back in shape.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I could say that. All right. Anyway,
all right.
That's it. That's been our first episode of Ecommerce Radio.
Yeah. And I think we're gonna try to do these once a week, and we're kind of deciding on the time right now. We're trying this today. It's like about 5 o'clock Pacific on Friday, but we're gonna play around with that. We might try this again at the same time. But we'll definitely start updating our social media all the time as well. So you can just stay tuned.
Right. Another good reason to subscribe to our Facebook or YouTube, just so that you can
Facebook, YouTube. We have TikTok, but we're posting there yet. We're gonna start doing reels.
I was working on my dances actually before getting on this podcast, and I was
you can do the dance.
I think the worm was a highly sought after skill. Right. That I want to do.
Those songs. All right. Thank you.